Hello and welcome into another edition of the Devil Source Postgame Show. I'm Sammy Miller alongside Chris Cartman, following ASU's 80-49 win over Grambling State, improving their record to 5-1 on the season. Chris, what were your initial takeaways?
Well, Bobby Hurley said after this game that he thought it was a potential for a letdown after ASU beat Michigan to win the Legends Classic. So he was letting his team know that they couldn't let that happen. Of course, they didn't. They blew out Grambling State, which was not a very good team, but also not a team that could be taken lightly. Already had one win over a Pac-12 opponent this season. I thought ASU's ball movement was really great early on. They had a lot of assists in this game, over 20 on 25 made field goals. And defensively, even though they gave up too many offensive rebounds, they were pretty locked down on that end of the floor as well. So pretty impressive overall performance.
And now, Chris, the Sun Devils, they came out hot. They had a quick 12-0 start, and a big reason to that was because of Frankie Collins. He was really being that floor general out there that Sun Devil fans wanted to see. He ended up having 7 assists on the night. So what really, from the offensive end of the ball, have the Sun Devils been doing as of late that they really haven't been doing before?
Yeah, I think the familiarity between Frankie Collins, DJ Horn, other guys on the team, what DJ Horn said afterwards was they didn't play together a lot in practices leading up to the start of the season. They were on opposite teams going up against each other. But tonight we saw a lot of cuts to the basket when Frankie Collins had the ball that led to layups. There were more lob dunks that we've seen in this year. Just the feel and understanding of where guys want the ball, how they're going to be able to get into situations to be able to make shots. Grambling State's defense was also bad, but Frankie Collins had a run where it was maybe 3 or 4 assists in about a 4-minute period, something that he did also against NAU and then hadn't really been repeated until Michigan. So definitely ASU's taken a pretty big step with its offensive play overall. If they can do this continuously over the next coming weeks, they look to have a very good chance to make I would say a top third type of a showing in the Pac-12 this year.
And shifting over to the defensive side of the ball, the Sun Devils held Grambling State to a 26.6 field goal percentage. Now, this Grambling State team, though, they did get a win against Colorado. So do you think it was more of just an off night for the Tigers, or do you think it was the Sun Devils' defense?
Combination. Usually that's the case, right? Like I said, Grambling State got a lot of offensive rebounds, and part of that was because they missed so many shots that were in and around the basket. But I thought ASU disrupted a lot of what Grambling State was trying to do in the half court, and then also contested a lot of shots, which contributed to a lot of those being misses. We know at this point that ASU's defense was further along than its offense to start the season, and they played well on that end of the floor even when they were having some bad early offensive outings. So now that they're kind of getting that more into balance, I think that they are hitting a different gear than they have this year.
And after the game, Bobby Hurley spoke to the media. He had some interesting comments about Marcus Bagley. What were your kind of thoughts on his comments?
Well, basically, it suggested that Bagley could have played tonight. He went through warm-ups, missed the road trip that ASU just concluded with a hit pointer after a hard fall against NAU. Tonight it looked like he was ready to go by all indications, but what Hurley said was he didn't want to disrupt the positive rhythm and flow that they had in their recent wins and so this nice stretch that they've put together. And so ultimately he decided to keep Bagley on the bench. That was what I implied from what his remarks was, but he didn't say that Bagley wasn't available to play tonight. That's one of the things about this Sun Devil team is their depth is much better than Hurley's had. When they're able to beat a team like Michigan, Sammy, and they didn't have 3 of their top 10 or 11 players, right? Marcus Bagley, Jemiah Neal, who played today for the first time this season, dealing with a stress reaction, and then Enoch Boakye, who's been sick for a couple weeks, and they still were able to have that type of a performance due to the strong play of guys like Devin Cambridge, and then everybody else that everybody kind of expected ASU would be able to get good minutes from this year. That is really a telltale sign that Hurley has the ability with this team to keep guys on the sideline if they're not doing everything on a day in, day out basis in practice and games that he wants. And so that, if anything, is pretty clearly a message even to Marcus Bagley, who's a preseason second-team all-conference player. You're going to have to do it exactly with it. I want it done, or else you might not be out there on the floor.
It'll be definitely interesting to see how these Sun Devils, if they're able to carry the momentum, not only from their win against Michigan, but also tonight against Grambling State over on Sunday when they're facing Alcorn State. We'll have a lot of coverage for you for that. And still, there's a lot going on in Tempe, not only Tempe, but Tucson as well, as ASU football heads down to the team down south against Arizona. So make sure you follow along for all things Sun Devil Source, because we got you covered in that regard. Also, there might be rumors about a new coach in town as well, so we also have a lot of coverage with that. So I'm Sammy Miller, that's Chris Cartman. Make sure to follow along for all of that on SunDevilSource.com.